Welcome, everyone, to episode 38 of the Comic Book Showdown of Ultimate Destiny. Can you believe it? We're here to talk about crowdfunding. The crowdfunding market is currently exploding. It's still insane. As of 2025, the comic industry alone and Kickstarter raised $274 million, and we want to get our hands on some of that cash. Unfortunately, not every campaign is successful. Only 42% of all Kickstarter campaigns succeed. However, we've been learning lots about how to make your campaign successful, and we want to pass that knowledge on to you.
On today's show, we're going to help some comic creators reach their goals, not viciously, but creatively critique. Destiny will choose 3 indie campaigns for us to review. After offering tips, we will choose one to back and support and, give it some helpful hints. Stay tuned to the end. See if you agree. See who's chosen, because this is the Comic Book Showdown of Destiny, and in the end, there can be only one. There can be only one.
Nicely done, nicely done, nicely done. Welcome, everybody. We're here. It's Friday. We're excited it's Friday. We got lots of great campaigns ready to take a look. Lots of crazy stuff going on in the world. It's a crazy time. But we love telling stories. We love comics. And we want to help people get their comics out to the world. So how you doing, Smurf?
It's true. Because comics, I'm good. Comics may be an endangered species here soon. Do you know where comic books are printed?
I do know that the vast majority of comics are printed in Canada.
Fuck Canada. No, I'm just sorry. South Park flashback. Yes, that is correct. The majority of comic books are printed in Canada. So with all of the impending embargoes, the tightening down, even Canada has just basically said, where will we get our Crown Royal and our comics? Fuck's sake. So here we are. What do we do? What do we do?
Yes. So what does that mean for creators? What's that mean for comic book creators? What's that mean for comic book collectors? We're going to chat about that just a little bit as we get started. But first, if you're watching, be sure and smash that like button, share it out to places, especially on Facebook. Let's get people joining in on the conversation. All right. So here are my 2 cents on that. I saw this pop up on a question on Facebook just the other day. Someone said, do we think that comics are dying? And I feel like it's sort of the way that records went, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think that comics as a storytelling medium will die. You've got many different mediums, from digital to novels, or not novels, but like graphic novels. I do think that the floppy, the monthly periodical, whatever you want to call it, I think that's been dying for a long time. And all the stuff that's happening lately is going to exacerbate that. That's my 2 cents.
And yes, the market has always been kind of, I want to say, like on a delicate bubble. I mean, we had the spike during, the blip. And everything kind of, after everyone came back, we saw a smaller spike, but then everything tried to subside and realign itself so that everything was kind of where it should have been and stayed. And now cards and toys are the rage, and comics are swinging back the other way. And I've seen this time and time again. I mean, there was the big surge in the 90s when all the speculators were in and thinking, I'm going to buy this one comic book and I'm going to be able to retire it. So, I mean, I don't know what the next thing's going to be that people are going to think comics are going to save the planet. I don't know, but it'll come back. But I think it's subsiding. And I think digital is the thing. This generation coming up behind us is all digital. They don't carry
I do agree with you that digital sales will go up, as a BMD nerd agrees with you as well. But here's what I did: a little research, and graphic novel sales and manga sales have increased exponentially in the last 2 years. 23 and 24, we saw higher sales for both of those than in the last like 10 years. So I think, and having a class at a college where I teach, college age students right out of high school, we have a comic book class, and I have them bring like their favorite books. Well over half of them are heavily steeped in manga, and they bring them. They have physical copies of them, and so I think that's where all this is going. Is that like if books are in bookstores, books like for instance Mythica, my hardback or my first graphic novel collection of 1 through 6. It's available on Amazon and Walmart and Barnes and Noble and like 40,000 different stores nationwide or globally, all on print on demand setup. So, you can go, you can't find it necessarily always on the shelves, but if you go to those stores, websites, and you look for it, you can find it, and they'll print it and send it directly to it. I think that's more viable for most companies because there's, more of a profit. There's a whole book. People also are going to get a whole story out of it. The monthly periodical thing is a challenge because even in my class, I have people go pick up a comic and then present like what they got out of it. And they're like, I don't know. I was kind of confused because it took place, like stuff happened before and I didn't know what was going on. And, and I'm like, yeah, people are getting sick and tired of that, and you add to that, like the only thing that's been holding together floppy periodical comics is the collectors,
Agreed. And I mean, maybe with the resurgence of, the new Fantastic Four trailer landed yesterday, which it looked fantastic. I love the look. There's a big surprise at the end. I don't want to spoil it, or you can just go to 5280 Geek on Facebook and see the trailer if you haven't already. But I really, really think we're about to see another, maybe not as big as the 10-year Marvel bubble, but I do think we'll see a surge. But with the periodicals, even just like reading and comparing like old school stories to today, they seem like there's holes in the story, that they're cutting corners, that there's not as many panels, and the storytelling's choppy. And I don't know if that's just me, but and it's not every comic, but a few that I've picked up recently, I'm like, the story doesn't flow like a story should. And then it's like, well, how did we get to this point in the story? How did this character get up here when they were just here? So, and maybe it's just me. I want it, sequential, and I want it laid out for me, and I want it to make sense. But I don't know. It's just probably me. Maybe I'm just getting old.
We all are. John, what are your 2 cents? Welcome, John, to the show. He says we finally got on Global Comics this week, which is I actually don't have Mythica on Global Comics yet. I haven't researched a lot about it. I don't know if it's all digital or if it's print on demand set up. So maybe you can comment on that. But I do know that everybody's looking for as many outlets as they can for their comics, because most of our job as independents is going to be direct to consumer. I do recommend though that like if you have any local comic shops that are around you, take your books in there. I know there's like, 7 just in my city alone. And then we've got Denver nearby. And I've been able to carry my books in well over a dozen different comic shops in this state alone. Just by going in and talking to them. They're usually very supportive. It's a lot of extra work. You're the distributor. You got to go there and you got to like negotiate with them. Generally they're only going to give you like half price. So if it costs you $3 to make a comic and you're selling it for $5, you're going to walk out the door 50 cents in the red, but that means that people see your comic. And, I mentioned last week that I had a student walk into class and was like, oh yeah, I bought your comic at this shop. And then another student on the same day said the same thing, and a fellow teacher of mine was like, "How many shops are you in?" And I was like, "As many as I can, and as many as I can." But
the ones that don't say no.
BMD says, sort of piggybacking off of Smurf, I hate when crowdfunders say their comic is the first of 12 because I know it will take forever to come out. So what would you rather them say? Just this is issue 1? That's an interesting point. Because they are letting us know that there's a whole series. We know that indie comics come out slower generally, so I can see why that would be scary. Generally, you're just like, oh, I'll wait till it's all finished, you know.
Well, and it's off-putting because like 12 issues. That's a lot of time in indie land. I mean, because it's almost a year between books. Roughly,
I mean,
right?
And that's if they're putting one out every month, because
Yeah, so
who knows?
that is a lot of commitment. And you know what? I forget stories for comics I read just last month. How am I going to keep track of a story that goes an entire years?
Right.
I think in those situations, I think you should at least have the majority of at least six issues framed out. So that way, when someone says this is like 12 issues, then they can say at least 6 are in the bag, and this is to help finish or get us started or whatever. But I'm with him. I cannot imagine waiting for 12 issues on an indie book. That's bonkers.
So most of you that follow Mythica know that's an ongoing series, and so generally what I try to do is break it up into chapters, well, not chapters, but like, books. So I'm thinking about how many issues is this next story arc going to be for the next graphic novel? Because again, graphic novels is where it's easier to sell books. I can get books in stores all over the country much easier than I can as a comic. Comics, really, I only sell either on Kickstarter or at conventions, and then of course I take some to the shops. But even in the shops, I sell them my graphic novels, and they sell those faster too. But so like I'll finish up one story arc, and then the next story arc, my first thought is, okay, I need to get a 4 to 6 issue arc that's going to be the next graphic novel, and keep it at that. That way people can just get that one arc and feel like they got a whole story. And then if they like it, they can go back and get the rest, right? John says, good feedback. I try to tell my peers, don't launch a 50 issue epic on Kickstarter. Yes, exactly. If I had to go back in time, and I've told this advice to like all of my students from experience, don't start with your epic. Start with little short 1 or 2 issue stories, so you can get your feet wet, get some stuff finished.
That's how Stephen King started. All short stories. Yeah. He didn't go crazy till later.
Yeah, he didn't go crazy till later. Yeah, I mean, because like you can experience burnout. You can just run out of steam, and then the story doesn't get finished. So, it's a lot when you jump out. And I wish I had practiced a bit more of that, myself. But sometimes that's what this show is all about, is passing on the things I learned the hard way to you guys and saying, you don't do this. It's kind of like my dad used to say to me. He'd say, do what I say, not what I do.
Son.
Right? Because he made all kinds of mistakes. All right, real quick, congratulations to last week's winner, Chad Perkins, with his campaign Set the Hook. Also, I want to give a shout out to John Westhoff, who's with us. He hit his goal. It looked for a second there like it was coming close. It was like 12 hours left last time I made a post for him, and he hadn't hit it. Next thing I know, he was over goal. So congratulations on that, John.
Nice. Nicely done, John. Well done, sir.
Yeah. So this week we've got quite a few entries. We've got some familiar names. If for those of you that are in the indie comics community, you've probably seen some of these names before. So let's take a look at the list before we go to the old spinning of the wheel there. Let's see. Go over here. We've got If a Tree Falls, which is a new one for me. The Four by our friends at Project Nerd. Path of the Pale Rider, which is crushing it right out of the gate, already hitting goal. This is from Lori Calcaterra, who is wanted to be able to watch the show live with us today, but had something else going on. But
what? We are the important ones. How can you go do something else? Damn it! You hurt my feelings.
I'm sure it was super important. But Lori is a beloved creator in the community and is always supportive of everyone else. And
yes,
her campaign is currently
amazing.
crushing it. Then we have Juice Man, issue 9 from Scott James. We got another familiar name, Alpha Dogs from John Dexter, who you may remember. We also had Dime Store Detective a while back. That was one of his creations. And then we have Haven, which is someone new who don't know. And then Granite State Punk, another familiar name, Travis Gibb, which is another well-known name in the comic community. He's everywhere. And so we got a lot of fun names. And currently, last time I checked, I think it was yesterday, there are 265 campaigns on Kickstarter, which means the numbers are going back up. It's back into the full throttle season. So now more than ever, it's important that you have a rock solid presentation, a campaign, because the more people there are, the more you're competing, and you want to get that support, right?
There's only so much money in the market, and you see these. And I think to what Matt and I were talking about last week, as we see more publishers going the crowdfunding way, like IDW, and it just went right out of my head.
There's Dynamite there.
Anyway, all this just went right out of my head. We got all these people that are fighting for the same dollars. Yeah. So and Dark Horse, I found some interesting news about Dark Horse the other day, as far as they're actually doing very, very well, better than I knew. So I was like, okay.
Nice.
So
last time I talked to you, you were like, what do they have left?
And I had a very interesting conversation with a contact in Dark Horse, and they're like, Smurf, just so you know, here's the situation. So they've filled me in on what's been going on at Dark Horse, and it's rather exciting. I am not at liberty to discuss said conversation, but Dark Horse actually is doing very well. So I was like, okay, I retract my statement. Don't worry about Dark Horse. They're fine.
Good to hear. So before we spin that wheel, let's answer this interesting question, because it's something we're talking about right now. It says, how do you feel about these big publishers crowdfunding? I feel like that's something that they're going to have to do to compete with Diamond, not, being a publisher, to compete with a lot of things. I don't really have a problem with it. But what it means for us is that we really got to up our game on their presentation, because a consumer can go to the platform and they're going to see all of this shiny awesomeness from these bigger publishers. They're going to see a huge backing and go, oh, that looks like something I want to jump in on. And the people only have so many dollars to spread around. So if you want to get people to buy your comic, you're going to have to present something in a professional manner and really look, like you have a good presentation. So
I
that's
think
my
put it before you do your crowdfunding, put your book in front of as many people as you can. Put your framework in front of as many people as you can. Get feedback before you go live. I mean, I know you can always like reach out to people like Matt or myself, and we would give it a, you know, kind of a once over. But there are plenty of other people that are probably close to that are honest with you, not that are going to blow smoke up your ass, but somebody who's going to be honest enough with you and say, hey, here are the things, or you misspelled this, you know, just, you have to polish it up. There's too many bigger budgets that are coming. They're coming for your dollars, and you're going to get bumped out, because that G.I. Joe collected edition, that thing destroyed records. You have people who have huge, you know, Ben Dunn, who we love Ben, but he does some great, you know, Kickstarter crowdfunding projects, and, you know, he's successful at it. It's hard to compete with the big boys, so you got to be clever, and you have to be pretty.
Have to be pretty. Your presentation, not
pretty.
Yourself.
Yes. I mean,
if you're pretty, it helps.
Polish it up. Exactly.
But most of us don't feel like we are pretty.
Is available.
Yes.
But I'm of two minds of it. It's like in the old days, celebrities wouldn't do podcasts because it was beneath them. And no, we wouldn't do that. That's not what I do. And now every freaking celebrity that can breathe has their own podcast. So you'll be surprised at how quickly the winds of change will blow, and we're already seeing it. It's thank you. Yes. The winds are changing. So
that's literally one of my favorite songs of all time. All right, are you ready?
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Spin that wheel.
Let's fucking go!
There can be only one Highlander type situation. Behold, my wheel of destiny!
Pitter patter, let's get at her.
Time to spin the wheel.
All right, let's do it. Let's see who's going to be the very first on our Wheel of Destiny this week. Spinning, spinning, spinning. Number 1 is going to be our new entry, If a Tree Falls. This one is got indie written all over it. All right, writing that one down. All right, that brings us to our next entry. Number 2.
Number 2.
Alpha Dogs.
Don't push any mortar now for 2 hours.
Our good friend John Dexter. All right. And last but not least, our third entry of the day, number 3 is going to go to Conrad Von Cottonmouth. The 4 missed it by just a hair.
I am Conrad Cottonmouth. Oh, I love that title. Makes me want to dress up all fancy pantsy.
Now, just so you guys know, that particular entry was entered in a new way. Well, a way that's always been available, but this person saw our videos on YouTube and then came to the Action Line Studios website and used the submission form on the website to submit this campaign. And so there's multiple ways that you can enter into the campaign. If you didn't make it in this week and your campaign is still going live next week, then feel free to enter it again. The most common place to do that is on the Action Line Studios Facebook page. Sometimes you'll find it on my personal page. You can also comment in this video right now down below. Not during the live chat because that goes away, but down at the end. So yeah, any way that you want, as long as it's live and it hasn't already been done, we can throw it on there again. Insymmetry says Path of the Pale Rider will win next week. Path of the Pale Rider is already winning. They've crushed it already. Yes, I hope we get them on the show though, because I definitely want to take a look at it.
Right out of the gate, the Pale Rider takes the lead.
I should say I want to look at it. I want to look at it on this show. I've already kind of glanced at it. I'm a big fan of Lori. So, all right. So let's let me clear out some of these extras. Sorry, Iggy, the 4 is off the wheel today.
I feel
Path to
bad.
the
I know
Trail Rider.
Iggy's just holding in there. He's been pushing his campaign very well, though, very successfully, because I see him sharing and doing what he can to get the word out. So
yes,
good
and
luck,
it's
Iggy.
a
Keep
chore. It's a full-time job, that's for sure.
Yes.
And we got our new one here. All right, cleaning up some of these tabs so that it doesn't slow my internet speed down. Got to take off as many things as possible.
Yes.
All right, we're down to our 3. We don't even need our Wheel of Destiny tab anymore. We'll take that off too. All right, so let's go ahead and share this screen, which is If a Tree Falls. All right, so this is If a Tree Falls by Emerald Valley Entertainment. I'm not familiar with them. If you guys know them, let me know. So they have a small goal of $250, 23 backers, 4 days to go. They have hit their goal with $321. There is no video.
What?
So that's gonna make that part short.
Oh, that's quick. Okay.
Yes. So, now, independent comes in all shapes and sizes, right? We've seen big independent projects and tiny little ones, right? This is just my tips and advice here. Obviously, there's no law set in stone, but in my opinion, setting a campaign goal too low makes it lose its legitimacy. A goal of only $250 can make people look at that and say, what are you going to do with $250? Like you can't even print around a books for $250, you know? So, or another version of that could be, can't you borrow $250 from some friends? Why do you need to run a whole crowdfunding campaign? Some people will set that goal really low because either A, they're scared that they're not going to hit their goal. Because Kickstarter, you have to hit your goal. Or B, they want to have that we hit goal in 1 hour. I've seen people do that a lot where they've got a huge following of thousands of people. They're going to print hundreds of comics, yet their goal is still only at like $500, just so they can say, look how fast we hit goal. Hey, if it works, it works. But I do find that when you have a more tangible goal, like $2,000, $3,000, people go, okay, that makes sense. That seems like what it costs to make a comic, and this person needs it to make this story. So just something to keep in mind. My 2 cents.
Because what does it cost to create a comic? Is it $1,500 or is it $3,000?
Well, generally, if you are paying for an artist and paying for a letterer and then printing, you're looking at around $4,000 to $5,000 on average. And you guys out there that are comic creators that have done this before, feel free to chime in if you agree with me on that one. You can do it for a little bit less, especially if you're the artist. But that means not paying yourself, But
and pray to God you go way past goal.
Right. But $250 is not even going to pay for printing books, so
let alone shipping. Shipping is such a monster when it comes to budgets. I mean, that is
yeah. And it's not going down anytime soon.
No, it is not going down. It's like the price of eggs.
Another risk that you run into when you hit really low goals, or when you set really low goals, is that people come across it and they're like, okay, you hit your goal. You obviously don't seem to need much more. And so they don't bother to support. Right. Whereas with bigger campaigns, is not only, got some legitimacy to it of like, okay, 3 to 4 to 5,000 is like normal, but then usually those people also will have stretch goals where you get more stuff, so there's an incentive to want to keep supporting even though they've already hit their goal.
So what kind of stretch goals do they have here if a tree falls? How many branches do I get?
We're gonna find that out. John says it's 3,000 to 4,000 just for him to draw and ink the pages. So that's true, So it definitely usually costs a lot. Let's take a look at what else this offers. The first thing it says, the very first thing we come across says pilot. This series aims to blend crime fiction with the occult. If a Tree Falls is set deep in the remote hollows of the Appalachian, Alabama, where a seasoned agent and his young partner must uncover the truth behind a grisly murder. We're trying to merge the fast-paced, stylish energy of Miami Vice with the cerebral, character-driven depth of True Detective, crafting a unique world where the allure of high-stakes crime meets the complexities of psychological thriller. All right, so what did that tell you?
It sounds like Men in Black meet Northern Exposure. It sounds cool. Okay. It even looks like Men in Black, or the one guy that stole all the money, DB what's his face, that jumped out of a plane. It's something I would pick up. I mean, I would definitely leaf through it just to see, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm interested. I'm interested. There you go. I'm interested.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that it's setting the tone in these few sentences, so we know what kind of book we're getting. We're getting sort of a crime, high energy crime thing. So I think they're doing a good job of setting the pace or setting the tone of what this is, and kind of what's happening. They're trying to uncover the truth of a grisly murder. So we have the who and the what, right, and the setting of Alabama.
And I like the aspect of True Detective, and that immediately paints a picture in my mind visually. So what I'm expecting to see in the comic, I hope truly reflect that image. So if you're going to paint pictures for people by using key phrases or elements, you've got to be able to deliver on that, and that we've seen some campaigns struggle with.
Yep. I want to say something about the font, and then I'll answer Aaron's question here. So the font that we're seeing right now on the screen, and where it says James Wesleyan, this is a font I've played with before. This is like the Goonies font or something like that. And when you guys go and you get fonts from free font sites, there is different licenses, right? Some of them are free to use for, certain things, but not free to use for business, right? And since this is making money, you need to be careful about using those kinds of fonts, right? Just putting that word of warning out there. When fonts are something that people can come back and say, hey, you used my font without permission and you raised X amount of dollars, you owe me money, right? It's just like music.
Hand over the cash. Yep, same thing.
So what you're looking for
license.
is, when you go to look for fonts, is commercial free license. Right. And so they'll give you fonts where you can use them on your Facebook posts, and you can use them for fun things, but you can't be making money off of them. That's what commercial means. So be careful with those. Now I don't know 100% whether or not this font is commercial use or not. I'm just throwing that out there as some words of advice. Right. Next thing, Aaron says, what's the best software to create a video for Kickstarter? Well, there's lots of different ones. I use Adobe Premiere and After Effects because I teach Adobe. I have an account with Adobe, but you got to pay pay money monthly. It's a monthly fee. DaVinci Resolve is a free one that's very equivalent to Premiere. I've seen people even use CapCut. If you use CapCut, though, use the desktop version of it, not the phone version, because it's got a lot more options and you have full screen usage. But it could still work in a pinch. It's not the greatest.
I mean, I would still go with DaVinci if you're going to look for an editor, unless you can do it because a lot of Sony and Canon have internal editing now, and I know the new Fuji that just came out has this amazing editing inside the camera itself. So You can do the editing that way. It's all in how you export the file, as far as if it's, in MP3 format or MP4 format, or what takes the least amount of space as far as your resolution. So that's another thing to take into consideration. Editing that's kind of a personal preference, but the exportation and how you load it up is a major consideration thing. So just something to look into before you post your video. What is their preference or minimum requirements?
Also, I also have an account with Envato Elements, which is a monthly source material for videos. So they can provide extra B-roll. They can provide like title graphics and all kinds of extra graphics that you don't have to spend time trying to do. You essentially just enter in your logo or whatever, and then it does a bunch of cool jazzy stuff, and you just insert it. Generally, like for me, like there's basically an Adobe After Effects file that they download, and you just enter in your logo or whatever, and it puts it in there. You guys may remember the skulls that were dancing around the Mythical logo in a couple of my stuff a while back. That was one of those. Saves a lot of time. You don't have to sit there and try to manually make any special effects. But there's a lot of resources. They also have tons of sound effects, which is also a crucial part of video editing. So got off the track there. All right, so back to If a Tree Falls, right? So then we've got some character description. This talks about our character James Wesley and his partner Walter Adkins. Brutal crime strikes a rural community. What seems like a simple murder investigation quickly spirals out of control as agents peel back the layers of mystery. They realize that the true mystery is far older than they ever imagined.
It's like Seven. No,
yes,
like Seven.
Man, if it was, that would be great.
Right.
So then we have covers. So from what I can tell, this entire comic is in black and white. Actually, yes, it says this right here. Giving it that true indie vibe. Also making it a little bit less expensive, which might be another reason why their funding goal is a little bit lower. But still, they've got a couple different covers there, and then some interior work, some preview pages. Right, looks like pretty good looking artwork. Yeah, nice, solid stuff. And then they get into the backers. So let's look at their goals. Their first one is a digital copy, $5. That's a good one.
Perfect.
Physical copy, $10, and then digital copy and physical copy. They have a different tier for it. It's a little bit more. So honestly, I generally like to just throw that in with the physical copy so that people can read it online if they want and keep their physical copy unopened for the collectors, especially since they're single issues. And then, unfortunately, that's it. That's where his goals stop. It stops at $12. The end. Your goal is $250. You could literally have one goal for $250 that says, "Hey, our artist will draw something for you," and you'd cover your whole campaign in one fell swoop, right? I think you're missing out an opportunity on that.
I think you're leaving money on the table, and I've said this before. If you don't have faith or conviction in your project, why should anybody else? You've got to put it out there. You've got to scratch the ticket to win. You got to have those whale goals. Even if nobody jumps on it, put it out there. You don't know what people are going to spend their money on. And you need a differentiator. You don't have a video and you cap yourself. You're just limiting what you can generate. And if you get enough, if you can work on that kind of a budget, you can fund 3-4 more issues in this one campaign. If you really can operate on that limited of a budget. And then I applaud you. You've definitely come up with a plan. But don't make the decision for your fans. Let them make it and put it out there and just let it fall where it may. So again, I would say a special, Matt said, $150 sketch cover and of the artist, from the artist. That would be amazing. A blank cover sketch, their choice of whatever, for $150. Boom. That's market value. That is what market value is, just for someone to do a sketch at a table.
I agree.
Just
honestly,
saying.
guys, I feel like this, from what I've seen so far, this looks quality, looks intriguing, looks like it has some solid writing to it. I don't see any reason why a campaign like this couldn't raise, thousands of dollars. So the tips, like, and honestly, I feel like they did a good job with like laying out what this story is, characters. They got to the point. They didn't bury the lead. And let's just give the benefit of the doubt. Let's say you don't have the knowledge or the money to make a video, right? Well, what else can we do to make this campaign like better and really competitive with the market? Number one is those stretch goals, right? People, they want to support, but they also want to get something out of it, right? So bookmarks, paper bookmarks are a really inexpensive thing that you can include. If you do a batch of like, a couple hundred, you get down to like 10 cents. And that gives somebody something. We've talked about putting a thank you page in the back of your book. That doesn't cost anything, but it gives some sort of value. It says, hey, I'm getting not just a book, but my name in the book, and it doesn't cost you anything. There's a ton of different ways that you can like build up your rewards that don't end up breaking your bank. And I think that would definitely benefit this campaign. Can you think of anything else that would like take this campaign to the next level?
I mean, what you said is what I would do. And the sketch cover, the sketch cover, you could do that all day. One weekend at a con could do the same thing. I like his art. I like the style. It is very, I see it. I see Men in Black. I really like the style, the black and white. You didn't even have to do colors. So I'm offering sketch covers as an incentive, and just unless it's a timing issue, maybe limited to 5, but I'd just leave that as a open thing. So
yeah.
But
having those big rewards can
you.
definitely help.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
I think this is a great campaign.
All right. Well, we're lingering on this one. Let's move on to the next one, which is, make sure that's all working properly. So far, so good. All right. Next one is Alpha Dogs. Alpha Dogs issue 5, The Hounds and the Haunted. Somebody's talking to Smurf. You better mute your mic, buddy. All right. Alpha Dogs issue 5. The Hounds and the Haunted. Buck searches for his fellow superpowered dogs while their enemies close in. This is by our friend John Dexter. And the goal is 2,000. They're at 1,232. So over halfway there with 27 days to go, which means right out of the gate, first few days, they've already gotten over halfway there. They do a video. So let's see what it's all about. Nice work. What'd you think, sir?
I like it. I don't know anything about it. Are these dogs with superpowers? Is it Crypto's family? I don't know, but I like it. That was awesome. I love this.
It does
art,
say
though. The art.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, the art is fantastic.
Wow.
It does say at the very tagline, Buck searches for his fellow superpowered dogs. So we do know that much. And if you look at this opening image, it kind of almost looks like he's got sort of a Superman shape symbol on his chest. So that's interesting.
I immediately thought of like Batman Beyond, the dog that he carries around with him through that series. Totally,
right.
It's like, oh, this is just awesome.
Yeah,
I like it. I like it.
So yeah, the artwork in the video, I love that we are looking at the artwork of the book, and it's beautiful. So again, that's a big intrigue for people. They're like, hey, if the art's good, that's a big seller for a lot of people. So you always want to showcase that art in your video. Then he also had some animation in there, making it give it some movement, and that was pretty cool. And then there was a lot of use of some cool sound effects. Setting the tone is another thing that your video does. So this one did that really well, where it's like, okay, I get what's going on. It's going to be exciting. And so let's see now in the opening, it says story. Alpha Dogs features Buck, a dog with the power to heal from most any wound, along with the heightened intelligence and strength. Although feared by the public due to his breed and size, Buck is determined to protect his loved ones along with humans and animals in danger. Let's see. So I'm trying to see if it says anything specifically about this issue. So I'm skimming a little bit. Living a secretive life has left... Oh, wait. Buck, along with his owner Ina and a grumpy old pit bull who shares in Buck's powers, have spent most of their lives on the run from Blackrock, a cabal of mercenaries obsessed with exploiting the dog's abilities.
Because of course there's a cabal behind the scenes.
It's such a fun word to say, cabal. We got this cover here, very classic Batman-esque cover. Love it. Then we've got this cover here. Almost reminds me a little bit of like a Hulk cover. It says Hulk homage right there. And then we've got a retro variant with like the words on it. And then this one, Days of Future Past homage. Yep. So fun stuff. What was that cartoon with the super dogs? Was it just called Super Dogs? Not cartoon,
Pets?
Cartoon movie. It was a movie. Super Pets, maybe?
Oh,
yeah.
Maybe.
It had Batman's dog. It had, all the different dogs in it. So then we get into the rewards. Alpha Dogs issue 5 digital, which looks to be $6. And then issue 1 is only $10. Plus you get the digital version. There's that extra incentive we're talking about. Nice clean presentation here, by the way. This reward you receive Alpha Dogs number 2 and the digital version. So this is going in order of the old books. First one is Alpha Dogs 1, then Alpha Dogs 2, 3, 4, and then 5 cover A is $14. You still get the digital version of it. I'm sure if we scroll down, there's also one that gives you everything, I would hope. Mm-hmm. Cover 5 signed, 5 variant version, cover B signed. These are some great looking rewards. Cover C signed. I'm looking for okay, here we go. Alpha Dogs 1 through 5 digital, $20, all 5 issues. That's a great catch-up tier. Always want to have that if you've got more than one issue. And then we've got the Alpha Dogs graphic novel, volume 1 plus issue 5. So apparently one is issues 1 through 4. So then we've got one with all 3 different covers. An everything digital bundle that includes books from his other campaign, Dime Store Detective. which is an advantage that you have when you have multiple books. So all in all, these are looking like really, really great. And then let's jump down because this is actually a long list. Let's go to preview pages. We got some shots of the interior that we saw in the video. We've got a little bit about the creator, which he did a great job of putting that down below, right? People want to get to what is this comic about first, and then what am I getting for my money? And you did both of those really well in stacking them. Sorry, Scott James. Juiceman didn't make the cut this weekend. Hopefully it will be there when we come back. But all in all, this is a nice, clean presentation. It's got everything. It's got a video that shows tone and the artwork. It's the only thing that I would say that is maybe not. I think they said it. I'm just not super clear. So the opening line says, "Buck searches for his fellow superpowered dogs while their enemies close in." So that's really, I think, what's happening in this issue 5. But as far as I can tell, that's the majority of like kind of what you get. So maybe a couple sentence description, a readable description, because as I'm flipping through this, there's a lot of beautiful, artwork. There's a lot of great graphic design done with like presenting the tiers. But I think maybe up here, the sentences are about alpha dogs as a whole. I think the whole story. And so maybe a sentence or two that says, in this issue, this is what you're getting, just in case someone's only getting this issue, like what am I going to get out of this one? But all in all, this is beautiful, in my opinion. What do you think?
I think this campaign and everything put together is tremendous. It's neat, it's clean, it's to the point. The bio and all of that is the end where it needs to be. As much as we love what you're doing, I don't care. I want to know what I'm getting from the comic and the art. And it's not a shot at anybody. I'm that way with, most of the comic books I buy. I don't care about the bio. You don't see Marvel leading off with that most of the time. It's like in this issue of Spider-Man. So, I mean, it's kind of, I think the whole package that you guys have put together is spot on. I don't know what I would change, if anything. I mean, literally all of this is how this is a campaign I would put out. This is exactly what I would expect and I would produce personally. So I applaud you. Well done. Well done.
Yes, agreed. So if you are a creator, definitely take notes. I spend a lot of time looking at other people's campaigns, trying to soak up knowledge about what was working and what wasn't. But there's even this little thing. I like this graphic. Basically, this is showing what they're spending the money on. And it's small, so I'll read it. This big purple section says that's for the illustration, coloring, and lettering, which is 35% of the money. 40% is going to printing and shipping. 10% for Kickstarter fees. Don't forget about those Kickstarter fees. And then rewards. So the extra rewards that they get, it's a little bit extra for 5%. And then a contingency, like that's smart too. Remember that, like, if you have an ongoing series, your ultimate goal would be to cover this campaign and then have money to start paying for the next campaign. So start paying those artists, so they can get started working on the next book. That's how you kind of keep things rolling, right?
I do like that graphic. That is very handy, and I think that's actually very realistic of most to what we were talking about earlier. Like how do you break it up? How much does it cost to do a comic book? I think that is I'd take a screenshot of that and use that as kind of a guide, a role model of what and how to build build out your proposal. I think that's great. That's great.
So here's the thing I want to do here with this one real quick, is that John's done a lot. Like, I think I saw a note there said he's done 11 campaigns. This campaign looks beautiful. He's well known in the comic community. So, you know, I feel like the number of backers is lower than I expect it to be. So the question is it because he's not on social media? I don't think so. I think I've seen him enough on social media that that's not the problem. Is it because the topic isn't interesting enough? Like, you know, the comic book reader doesn't necessarily, maybe they're not as interested in the dog story, right? So maybe what could help with that is campaigning to a different audience. I know for me, when I am, and I'm sure everybody that has a comic campaign has posted their campaign to one of the long list of indie comic groups, right? There's a ton of them. I'm not going to list them off out here, but like, I'm sure all of you have experienced that. Like, you post your stuff and then you look and like hardly any of them have received likes or comments, because it's basically just an ad page of like one campaign after another, after another, after another. And so people are just used to it looking like this ad site. However, when I campaigned Mythica, which is essentially, you know, a Scotsman with a blade, I get involved in the Scottish and communities, the kilted communities, and I am actually engaging in conversation with those people, so that when it's time to promote, I can say, hey, here's this thing that I'm working on, and I'm targeting directly to an audience that is intrigued in this topic, right? And so, like, you know, if you have something that's about dogs, perhaps getting involved in dog communities on Facebook or other places where there's groups. I think Facebook is one of the best places for groups. Maybe Discord is another one. And then also maybe, you know, finding like a younger audience, more kid friendly, if this is for that. I don't know how violent or this book gets or not. But like, basically my point is branching out to other places than just the local comic community, or just the comic, you know, community. Levi says, yeah, leave a copy at your local vet. Yeah, absolutely. You know,
or even like dog walking services or pet sitting services. I mean, those people, that's an excellent outlet to like, hey, maybe team up with, I know a few professional like dog walking services. Mm-hmm, maybe they could do like a special package, or, you know, get your card out there, because it's hard to get past your initial group and break outside of it. I mean, Feral, I think, was a weird flash in the pan kind of hit from Image. It held my attention for a while, but it just kind of waned off. Pet books are difficult. Animal books are difficult, but I think this, I mean, it's obviously got legs, but I think you're on the right approach, but it's trying to get those other readers. And to Matt's point, I start looking wherever you can. Even if you could reach out to, if it is kid friendly, I would start reaching out to some of the charter schools and start making those conversations with them to get interest, to get people looking at the book. Parents and teachers love fresh new content that they can the kids. So this is definitely something that I would start looking towards that way. And charter schools are an excellent outlet, and they're desperate for material. So that'd be my one big egg. Yeah.
Something I learned a long time ago. I used to sell Cutco knives. A lot of you guys probably are familiar with those. And I had a buddy at the time who was also selling the knives, and he took them to his dad, who owned and operated a dealership for RVs. And he and his dad worked out an agreement, and he said, all right, every time we have an RV, someone like wants to take it on a driving tour, we're usually gone for like half hour to an hour, because they want to like see how it drives. You're going to come with me, and you'll present your knife, thing, and do the presentation like you're supposed to maybe the wife or whoever's, gone along with them. And if they buy the RV, then we'll throw in, a box of these knives. And
set of steak knives.
he ended up making like 25 grand that summer because, some might call that cheating because it was his dad. And then it was like, obviously they're going to sell RVs regardless. But the thing I learned from that is like partnering with people that, you work with. So like if you go into like a dog walking thing and they say, hey, if you get this dog walking thing, we'll include this comic. And so then the dog walkers are buying the comic to sell to throw in with, their customers or things like that. Like I've done that before and it can really boost sales. Sometimes you'll find yourself suddenly selling hundreds of copies of something because another company took off and included your book. So keep that in mind. One last thing before we move on. I love that his whale tier is to have your dog drawn into issue 5. I think that's a great one.
Yeah.
Which means he's obviously targeting it towards the dog owners. So if you're listening and if you're already not part of the dog groups, I definitely would check those out.
Yep.
All right.
I could just all of a sudden see you at a mall with one of those booths with the mirror above you and cutting up a can with a knife after you cut a tomato.
Yes, I used to cut pennies with the Cutco scissors and yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I still have those knives too, man. They're good knives.
I believe that. That does not come as a surprise. Sorry. Next campaign. Moving on.
Next campaign. The next one is Conrad von Cottonmouth.
Conrad Cottonmouth. Oh, that's a chick.
Apparently. I mean, maybe. Let's see. Conrad Van Cottonmouth. I want to keep wanting to say Von. The epic saga of an extraordinary bunny, book 2. So I think it's about the bunny on her shoulder.
Oh, sweet. Even better. All right.
So this one had an $800 goal, 6 days to go. They've hit their goal at 1234 with 60 backers. So let's see what this video tells us. Go here. 1 minute video. All right. He's got his mouth wide open. That looks fun as hell.
That was awesome. What? Oh my God. Never underestimate the power of cute. The little bunny in the capsule. Oh my God. I was like, oh, the little guy's load. Oh my God. That's issue 2. I want issue 1 now. Fuck.
I gotta laugh at what BMD says. He says there's a rabbit-based comic on this show every week.
Again, never underestimate the power of cute. You're not wrong.
When we had Stabbity Bunny, just like
Stabbity Bunny.
Yeah,
great.
But I gotta say, guys, one of the things that just stood out to me about this video was the imagery that was chosen to represent the book. Now, because like for the first 5 seconds, there was this slow moving thing, and I was like, oh, this is starting off kind of slow, and it was just long enough that right after I had that thought, we kicked it into gear, and it felt as epic as they advertised. Like, people say epic saga all the damn time. I mean, all the time. And very rarely does it actually feel as epic as they said, but this one did. And a big part of that was the music. Don't know where they found the music. But that was perfect. But then the imagery, it was just like, I want to see if I can scroll back on this. Let me pause the sound on this. Let's see. We open with this intense, wording, and then, this shot here wasn't extremely exciting, but it was intriguing in that, like, you see this girl and there's like lava everywhere. But then you've got this shot, which was very like saga-esque. It was like you got this crazy machine and this woman meditating and the bunny's driving the machine. And so that's opening up my brain going, oh, wow, what an intriguing concept and world. And then you have this machine going through things. And this shot, every shot was just like more wonder and more intrigue. It was like, whoa, what's going on here? And then there was another one here, like the bunny in the ship was great, but there was one here. I think I missed it, where it was just like the reaction shot of this person. I don't see it. Oh, there it is. Like, even that shot, I was just like, yeah, that's just great posing and intrigue. And so like these could be from issue 1, issue 2, I don't know, but like, choosing shots that really get the brain clicking and intriguing is a huge part of making people interested, and so this one did a great job for me. I don't know about you, but I was like, this is intriguing. I'm excited.
What I liked about all of what we saw, it's making me ask the right questions. Who is that? Why is there? Who is this blue lady? Why are we in space? What was the explosion? Is that an eruption? Why is she with the bunny? I mean, all of these questions, which I only assume that are answered by reading the comic. So, absolutely, I want to know what's going on, and why is the Velveteen Rabbit coming from space? What's going on?
Yeah. I can tell you right now, like, this is going to be a tough toss-up between Alpha Dogs and Conrad. These are both like fun animal-based stories that have a great presentation. So, yeah, let's see if this one gives us any more information. Well,
and I even like the taglines, the 3 bullet points. That was, again, save the cheerleader, save the world. The right. Bunny, the prophecy. What prophecy? That right there. The world, the prophecy. Ooh, what prophecy?
Right. Very, very epic sounding, but so yeah, we know that it feels epic. They've set the tone. We know it's sci-fi-ish and fantasy-ish, and there's also the cute factor that So you're hitting a lot of different things, right? And then down in the story it says, Conrad Van Cottonmouth continues his quest to save Earth from an impending catastrophe. With the Oracle of Delphi reactivated, a desperate search for alien fuel takes Conrad and his unlikely allies on a dangerous journey across the stars and into the heart of Earth's greatest mysteries. Packed with daring and rescues, unexpected twists, heartwarming moments, this story is a thrilling continuation of an extraordinary adventure. So even though I don't necessarily know what the Oracle of Delphi is or what happens when it's reactivated, a desperate search for alien fuel takes Conrad and his unlikely allies on a dangerous journey is something I can understand.
Yep.
So that's important. Like, if you just go with all pronouns and don't really dive into what's the meat and potatoes of the story about, then it's not as well balanced. I like how in the second section it says, Book 1 begins in ancient Greece, where the Oracle of Delphi predicts a rabbit will one day save the world. And then it has several more sentences. I won't read all of it. And then right below that, it says, in Book 2, Conrad embarks on a daring space mission to retrieve the fuel pushing the limits of his abilities and ingenuity. And there's more senses that. So I love how like right away it breaks down these 2 issues. And there's a free preview of the first 9 pages of book 2 on this link. So definitely another good thing, if you can, is like let people see a preview without trying to cram it all into your Kickstarter. Also, by the way, this is a great way to get people to your website and your store. So if you've got a store on your website like I do, and then you put those previews on a page website, so that's going to send them to your website, and then boom, they're already there if they want to buy something. That's a great way to get traction.
It's a great hook. So well placed. Absolutely.
All right, and then what you're backing? It's a 36-page full color saddle stitch floppy comic. Actually, a correction. Book 1 is 36 pages. Book 2 is 40. Then we got a preview pages going on here. Whoever's drawing this has great like animation style posing. Like everything feels like it's moving. You look at this pose here where she's floating, but also looking down at the rabbit. This kind of crazy pose here with her hand. There's just so much movement and life to these drawings. No one's really stiff. And then we got some pre-sketches here, which I, as an artist, love.
Nice. Yeah, that's a big. I mean, I've pushed that with people who've asked me what they should do for a Kickstarter as far as what to present, what to show. The sketches, I think, are a solid thing. They always show them because it's fun to see the development process. Where did this come from? How did you do it? So seeing that, and as I told some people, even offer those sketches up. I know people are very protective about them, but assigned an initial sketch as a whale tier, come on. I know a lot of collectors that would jump at the chance of that.
Yeah. Also, another thing that's I'm noticing here is, from what I can tell, this is all one person. Michael Connors. It just says by Michael Connors, so I think he did all the art and the writing, perhaps the lettering as well. I don't know. So that's also impressive because it's a lot of work. But
I honestly think it's a labor of love because you can feel. I mean, this book has heart. I mean, and like you said, it's got motion. It's the whole style about it. This is a passion project. There's a lot of love thrown into these pages. And you can feel it.
Yes. So I'm really glad this one was submitted on my website, and because I'd never heard of this person. Maybe they're not in all of the indie communities that we normally see, but I'm glad this one made it to the list. We got a $5 digital copy. We've got a $9 digital copy for 1 and 2, and then we've got the printed versions. Look like they're all 15. That was so loud.
Did you hear that? I muted my mic. Sorry, I apologize.
Yeah. Well, we heard it. Let's see. We got a book 2 collector's bundle for $20, featuring all the variants plus PDFs. A dual pack featuring Cottonmouth book 1 and book 2 Soho cover and the digital versions. All the collector's versions. A retailer bundle, which is
smart.
Something that a lot of people will throw in. I don't know how well those do, but I like seeing them. I don't know how many retailers go on to Kickstarter for their books, but
I know of a couple of shops actually out east. A lot of them visit these kind of campaigns so they can have something new, something different.
Right. So it looks like that's where the whale stops, is that retailer bundle. So the one before that's the complete collector's bundle for $38. So it's just the books, right? There's nothing, beyond that. So perhaps, like we've said in some of the other ones, this artist is really great at character, emotion, and posing, and just storytelling in general. So perhaps some sort of, custom sketch or like you said, some of those sketches that he was offering could make a great whale tier.
I think so. I think you're missing. Yeah, there's a missing opportunity here because I would know collectors that would jump on original art or something like that. And if you created a whale tier of $200, I mean, I think that would be a great way to booster revenue.
All right, guys, I got to tell you, I'm torn. I'm not really sure here, but we got to choose one. Because there can be only one.
There can be only one.
Speaking of there can be only one, did you hear that Henry Cavill is gonna be the new Highlander?
That's new. That's last year's news, buddy. Yeah, I heard that, and I'm all for it, dude. Cavill is a specimen. I'm pissed that he got the raw end of the sword in The Witcher, but you know what? He ends up as the Highlander. I think that's a fair trade. I'm in. I'm absolutely excited by that.
Man. All right, so we got to make a choice. Throw your vote in below. We've run a little bit over time today, but that's because we've had some great stuff to look at. So is it going to be If a Tree Falls, Alpha Dogs, or Conrad Van Cottonmouth? Right? Man, I think this is going to be a tough call, and we might end up going to the wheel if we don't decide on the same thing.
I have a feeling we're going to the wheel. I really do. I do.
All right, so
I mean, all three are very solid campaigns. All three. I would actually pick all three up off the rack. Again, highest compliment I can give you. I'd pick it up off the rack if I went into a comic shop.
Yeah, I agree. These were all good presentations. I feel like some of these had room for improvement, for more growth, but all in all, they're all presented really well this week.
Yep.
So I have made my choice. It was tough, but I had to pick one. Have you made your choice, sir?
I have.
All right. So without further ado, like I said, if you guys are watching, throw your choice in the comment section. But for now, let's get to it. And the bunny wins again.
The bunny wins again. It's hard to fight the bunny, man.
Yeah,
never underestimate the power of bunny.
Apparently, I need to make a bunny comic. Oh, you're right.
You could.
You're right, BMD. You're right, BMD. The rabbit-based comics are hitting it. All right, congratulations to Conrad Van Cottonmouth and to its creator. Looking up his name again, Michael Connors. So we'll be backing that very shortly. And again, if you did make it on the show this week, be sure and go check out the Facebook page at Action Line Studios. If you haven't, be sure and like and subscribe here on the YouTube channel. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. And if you want to check out my book, Mythica, you can at actionlinestudios.com. You can also support this show on Patreon at patreon.com/Actionline Studios. And Smurf, where can they find and support you?
You can find us on 5280geek.com, the Facebook 5280geek. We have a weekly podcast, semi-weekly, called The Weekend Geek Update, where I dissect and discuss different nerdy topics, things that have got my eye, shows, comics, things of that nature. So it's very pop culture driven. So stop by, say hi, give us a wink, give us a like, give us a share, because that does help both he and I with all of that. So if you've got anything else, I think our job
one more
here
thing.
is done.
Yes, one more thing. We will not be having a show next week because one, Smurf is going to be out of town at another engagement, and it's Valentine's Day on Friday. So either way, we're not going to have a show on Friday. So we'll be back in 2 weeks. So we'll see you guys then. With that note, see us out.
Bombshell. We shall say goodbye, but in the meantime, run fast, laugh hard, and always be kind. Good night. coffee again. Damn it.